Morning. Our focus will be on elections. Now, 6 times we have gone through this process. This is the 7th time. And of course, the issue has been the fact that some have said that this is a crucial election and it carries a lot of weight. What exactly does it mean? How do we move on from here after the elections? And have the processes been that great? My guest this morning will help us to understand where Ghana can go from after this election. And to my extreme left is the Principal Secretary, African Affairs at the office, former Principal Secretary, African Affairs at the office of Ghana's first President, Asiedu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Mr. Asiedu, good morning.
Good morning.
And I hope you're doing great.
Oh, I can't complain.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm grateful. And then I also have to my extreme left, Reverend Dr. Chris Hesse of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah at that time. And don't forget, he was a former MD of where we're sitting now, Ghana Films, now TV3. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah.
And then to my immediate left is the Chief Executive of Ghana at 50 Celebrations, Dr. Charles Wekubobi. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
And great to have you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now let's start this way. We're beginning with the process, the build-up, the campaigning, the conduct of politicians, the Electoral Commission. Mr. Asiedu, have we seen that body language that says that the stakeholders were ready to go through these elections peacefully?
I think they were ready to go to the elections. There's a lot of talk about peace and how they behave. I think it's because of our past. At the last election, things did not go that smoothly. We had to go to court and so on. And therefore, I think it was right and proper that we should take pains to see to it that there was peace now or during the president elections.
And you saw the body language of the politician, the Electoral Commission, all of them wishing to have that peace so that we can have a free, fair, peaceful election.
Yes, I think, in my opinion, you can go on and criticize some of the things they did, but in my opinion, there is too much emphasis on law, the rule of law, or what the letter of the law. For example, in my opinion, if somebody completes a form and there are errors, the first thing to do in such a big, with such a big party is you call the leader or somebody and say, look, these say there are these things wrong. Can you change, put them right? Because the consequences of asking a major party not to take part in the election is great. You should see. So these are the minor things, but it's due to lack of perhaps experience and so on. But some are interpreting it in a very bad way and so on. And we are making too much of issues. That is what I find about this president election. Instead of concentrating on the things which the new parties would do to make Ghana great. Because some of us tried to do that, and I think we failed. Otherwise, we wouldn't be in this present situation. And we should have party manifestos being debated. They should have an aim. There should be a plan as to how they're going to implement what they say. Just to say you are going to have schools everywhere, hospitals everywhere. It's you are catering for the uneducated and let's be blunt, people who don't think hard. Because we don't have the money or we have limited resources. So how are you going to do all these things? And it is good to organize the masses to support you, and so it's part of the process. But we should also feed them with information and facts. And the people themselves should ask, should be inquisitive, ask how all these things are to be done. And to me, it's a sad reflection of our education system, of which I was a part. So it's my criticizing myself. The education system has gone somehow sour, and we are producing people from schools and universities who are not what, in my opinion, they should be. Thank you.
And Reverend Chris says, so it means that Mr. K.B. Asante believes that the Electoral Commission faulted in not alerting these people to come sit down and let's correct their mistakes, but by deciding to throw them out of the process.
Well, I think, in my personal opinion, we've gone through elections.
This is the seventh.
Yeah, we've gone through elections before. Yeah, but this is the first time that the lady is heading the Electoral Commission. So maybe she's facing some problems, you know, and this is what we call work experience. You know, Tobe Afarijan was there, and he had a very tough beginning, but towards the middle or to the end of the time, during the time he left, everything, all the elections were going smoothly. So you need that experience to go through. So, but she had her own lieutenants there too, people who've been with the system.
Who had been there before.
They've been with the system for a long time. So my problem is what communication between the chief executive and the
other members of the commission.
Yes, I mean, are they helping? Are they boldly speaking from the experience? This is my problem.
I see.
Yeah.
Dr. Rekrube, so if that work experience isn't there, and she couldn't have learned from the persons she met there, then certainly she was going to run into trouble with all that she had to do.
Let me give you a different take. You know, and my other title, which you didn't announce, by the way, I'm the unofficial PRO for the EC, which is what the opposition parties describe me as. Listen, Reverend Hesse understand when I use the term signal to noise ratio. There's a lot of noise and very little signal that has been going on for, I think, when the new chairperson assumed duty, there was a desire to browbeat kind of beat her into submission to meet some other people's objectives. But on the substance of what has happened, we've had, this is the 7th election in the Fourth Republic.
Right.
And what I would say is that many of the noises that came before was just that noise.
It was just noise?
Yeah, it was noise because there was no substance to the protest made, except two specific issues that came up. The first is what my colleagues picked up on the issue of the qualification or disqualification otherwise of the candidates, which I thought was probably, with reflection, as my two colleagues have said, should have been better handled. And the more worrying one is what has happened last Thursday and with the special voting. Many people do not even know there was special voting until this debacle came, because in the past, there has been no problem with them. The only noise I ever heard about special voting was in 2012 when the EC said they wouldn't let journalists go and do special voting. Before then, it was very, very, very smooth. And this particular issue about special voting, I think is a worrying thing. I remember when I was running Ghana at 50, I used to say to my staff, 6th March 2007 will never and can never be postponed. That's the day. We don't have two bites at the cherry. And I think the worrying thing about this was in the run-up to the special vote, there was a fundamental error. And that error was made, ironically, by the longest-serving member of staff at the EC, who happens to be the deputy chair for operations now. And the error was this. You ask people and you put their names in constituencies where they were not registered. I mean, for example, here we are in TV3. People were asked, well, if you work in TV3, then you can vote in Kanda. Initially. Then later on the instruction was changed to
where you were registered.
Where you were registered. Now, the original instruction was wrong in the sense that you were creating what the Americans might call gerrymandering. You were loading the register, because if there are 2,000 people who haven't registered here and are suddenly brought to vote here, it could affect in the parliamentary election, at least, the result. And I think somebody discovered that very, very late in the day, and then decided, we shouldn't be doing this. People should actually be going back to the constituency.
So there was a mistake from the onset.
There was a mistake from the onset which nobody is admitting, and that's one of our problems. We don't admit to errors and then move forward. And so then created a situation where on the night before special voting, people were told, oh no, you can't do that. New registers will be issued. But I just hope, we can't afford that on Wednesday. Absolutely not. And one other thing...
Isn't it going to be a different ballgame altogether?
No, one other thing I should also say is that even if you get 99% right and 1% wrong, it is not acceptable.
Sure.
Our laws do not allow anybody to be disenfranchised.
Can we have a perfect
Full
system?
Stop. No. It's not a question of perfect. Would you like to be deprived of your vote?
No.
Thank you very much. Nobody should be disenfranchised in this country. So it's not an issue of percentages. It's not an issue of fairness. It's an issue of that
vote.
Every person who is entitled to vote and desirous of voting must vote.
But can it happen?
I said everybody who is it has happened in the past. So I said this is the 7th election. So let's not treat the mistakes that are being made now like it's kind of acceptable.
Mr. Asante, can we have 100% turnout in any election?
No, of course not. Of course.
Everyone
Somebody may die today and anything can happen.
Not those dying, but...
we say 100%.
So the process might not allow some people casting their ballot, even though it's not acceptable.
Yes. As I say, sickness, transport, the person's, we know our roads, a person may be going transport breakdown and all sorts of things. So you don't expect 100% turn. And there are some people who decide not to vote. But you expect a high percentage in order to reflect the will of the people. That's what election
Let me put it this way. Should we make room for errors?
No.
No. Not that kind of, you see, administrative error, like the one which make people go to a station to vote and then they find their names not there. It means it's as a civil servant. And I would say good old days, this was unacceptable. And I'll sack any of my officers who who causes this because he must be sure that what he does is feasible. And if he asks people to go to a place and their names are not there, he wouldn't be fit for his post. The least I will do is remove him. People should be responsible, and he should know what. And at the top, my friend was blaming the number 2, and so yes, he's to blame. But and I would have been blamed if I was in charge. In order not to be blamed, I'll say to your head goes first. You must do the right thing. And in those days, the people who worked under us, in my house, they were competent, and if they were not, we saw to it that they were moved to their areas of incompetence to do the bad things there. But unfortunately now, the service is not what it used to be, and there are too many people who are not that good and who are in the system and who are causing havoc all over the place.
I see. Reverend Chris said, does it suggest that perhaps the EC is been bastardized to the extent that they are making mistakes, or Mr. K.B. Asante talks about incompetence?
The officials, not necessarily
not necessarily the officials or the commissioners.
The electoral commissioner.
Yes,
he
comes to the whole system from the top to
yes,
to,
he has
to,
he
to the
met
bottom.
The system, and she's using that system. So it's not all. Yes.
That was what I said. Work experience, and I'm sure there will be a big change in the next round.
On December 7th.
No, not.
You mean 2020, the next general election?
Yes, because he would then have gone through this to have that experience to make drastic changes for a smooth election. See, but I am a filmmaker and I'm a documentary historian, so certain things really disturb me. You know,
things like what?
I'm coming to it. Yeah. Look, we have films, this place, film industry. From day one of the birth of Ghana, we have films, all the military rules, everything we went through, we've got documented, everything documented is there. All these parties. Now, but now, Bedema, Ayana, Pap, and then Ababase.
Right, Joa Pia. I think I've seen a couple of them.
Joa Pia. All the speeches are there. When you sit behind the projector and watch, you can see it. From day one, we started sowing hatred. Yeah. And we are now harvesting the fruits of what we sowed some years ago. You see, why should we, at rallies, choose to abuse people?
But Reverend, under President Kufuor, we had a Truth and Reconciliation Commission where we're told that all the wrongs of the past were to be laid bare and then we begin on a clean slate. It didn't work?
Well,
partially.
Yes.
It worked partially.
But all I'm saying is that let's go back to the Bible. Oh, let's go back to history. Let's go back. And all these films are in London. And I've been convincing people that we should bring all these films back for us to show to the public and know where we came from. Then we will determine where we are going.
I'll take a break. When we come back, I guess we'll stay on this issue, the kind of divisiveness we have created and the fact that we're reaping the results now, yes. The hatred. We're reaping the results now. Action Command Center, and this broadcast is refreshed by Verna Mineral Water, healthy drinking, healthy living. My guests are still here, but let's stay on what Reverend Chris Hesse sold to us just before we went on the break. The fact that some hatred seemed to have been started in the past, and we have carried it on till now. Dr. Rekubobe, is that what indeed could be the destructive button?
It's not hatred. There is a rivalry which has its roots in the very fight for independence.
You want to tone it down?
Yeah.
To rivalry.
The group that led our independence. You know, if my two uncles know better than me because they were part of it. The UGCC brought Dr. Nkrumah to Ghana to be his Secretary General. And then he broke off and formed the CPP. And from that day, the CPP-UP or UGCC fight has manifested itself in several forms. And today it's manifested itself as MPP versus NDC. The NDC, because of the revolution, etc., having essentially taken over the CPP. Because don't forget, the 1981 coup was facilitated by the youth wing of the CPP. You see, so there's this rivalry which underpins our politics. But I want us to understand that there is no evidence of violence, very little violence, and there's a lot of talk, and we have this peace industry which always wants to push the specter of violence. But it hasn't really happened in the Fourth Republic. Yes, it's good that the peace people caution us against the Rwanda situations, etc., etc. But by and large, our elections in the Fourth Republic have been peaceful, and the outcomes have, with one or two exceptions, been accepted. But those who were not accepted were not violent reactions.
Could the fear had been transported from our previous ways of doing things? I mean, if you claim the CPP, the UGCPP animosity, then we could have carried that fear into what we're seeing.
This is 60 years you're talking about. Most of us don't remember it. I mean, look.
People remember the bomb thrown at Nkrumah, the Kulungungu incident.
Please, are we talking history? Are we talking now? You see, let's deal with the situation now. Let's, you know, most people don't know this. My grandmother, Victor Usu's mother, you know, in the 50s, there was this big fight between the action trooper boys, and there was a lot of stuff. I mean, bombs were being thrown, etc. You know, a bomb was thrown at my grandmother's house. I was there. But I do not go back and reflect that that is the reality of Ghana today. We are too fond. I mean, like a lot of people who are campaigning on what Asiedu did 60 years ago. Well, we are trying to talk about Ghana today.
I see.
You know, and Asiedu now is in about 7 different factions. PMP, PCP, whatever, CPP. What are we talking about? Let's deal with the issues of today. Let's deal with the real politics of today. The Fourth Republic of Ghana, which, thank God, has lasted 24 years and should keep going. But the real issues which create tensions, as I was saying in the break, is that we have a constitution which allows the people only one choice every 4 years.
That's an issue to be worried about.
Very, very, very worrying. We don't have democracy at the regional level. We don't have it at the district level. And we have a constitution that says the executive power of Ghana resides in the one person, the president of Ghana. So choosing the president is a big issue.
But what about local?
There's no democracy there. There's no participation.
Who promotes that democracy? Why can't we let our district chief executive and so on?
I see.
Because the constitution says the person is a representative of the president. Would you like a situation where my uncle KB is president and he's got this Domuman in Kumasi as his chief executive?
Let's move this conversation one step a bit. So, if this was our past and we're in the fourth Republican constitution that has lasted 25 years, of which we're all proud, how should we advise ourselves after this election that some say is crucial because of the nature of the candidates in it? How do we move on after this election?
Even before, we should advise ourselves, even before or after, what would the winning government do to improve the lot of Ghanaians?
Yeah. That's a key thing.
That's the key thing. Now, all that they've said and so on, you can hold them responsible, but to me, well, they have to win votes, and we have a large illiterate population. They've got to tell them all sorts of things which are impossible. But after that, good sense should prevail.
And I'm afraid that's a question the media doesn't ask. It's very easy to look for the friction points. But, you know, when I hear reports on rallies and politicians and what they are doing, it is always the friction points that are being reported. You know, people are not reporting. Nobody is saying, oh, so-and-so says they will do this. How would they do it? How would it benefit people? We don't get a lot of that reportage. So it's like a self-serving thing going on Thursday. Special voting. There was a few problems. But from maybe 15 minutes into the action, Ghana's media was all about what was going wrong. At the end of the day, we realized that 75% of people had actually managed to cast the votes. And yet, the impression you came out with of the whole day was of complete chaos and confusion. which was adding to the opprobrium being heaped on the poor electoral commission, even though I admit they made a mistake. So we should also, you know, when I was younger, I read a foreign correspondence book which used to say, the first thing a foreign correspondent comes to ask is, has anyone been shot and do they speak English? That's the story. The story is who has been shot, but to report that story, you must speak English. You understand? So there is all that.
All right.
Kind of stuff that goes on.
Let's stay on this issue. So, for the Ghanaian, we should look out for what the winner will do. But aren't we also neglecting something if we ignore the fact that the winner should get to the loser and together we chart the path?
Not that, you see, I
wanted Reverend Chris to comment before I arbitrate.
Please.
Please go on.
He's the Reverend. Let's
yes,
comment.
Reverend, please go on.
See, my point is that Ghana doesn't belong to one person. It belongs to all of us. You know, people contribute towards the welfare of Mother Ghana. So when we vote for somebody, and he is the winner and he is the leader, you know, it's no party A, party B, party C. It's national. How are we serving Mother Ghana? And see, and this, the reason why I'm referring us back to, there's a disease we have to cure.
What is the disease?
Pardon?
What is the disease?
Anti-party politics. I call it hatred again. You see, and we should cure. There's a disease we have to cure.
Where can we find that cure?
You see,
no,
NCC.
But 25 years should have been matured. No.
NCC, they should cure that disease through proper planning and education. See, but I don't think they are functioning effectively, the NCC. See, and I'm saying that, see, the harm that thing has done has actually disorganized the infrastructural plans this beautiful nation had some time ago. We had a very strong civil service. You know, they could take decisions, and there were policies they were using, guiding policies. You know, but let me give you one example. After a coup, a military officer came and took over the Ministry of Information as minister. Then he called a meeting for all the heads of departments and their deputies. And that I was a deputy here, so we had to go to the ministry. I said, ladies, we are now in charge. And you know, military presentation, we are now in charge. And from now on, 1, 2, 3. So the then principal secretary said, sir, there's the government machinery. Say, no, we are here. Overruling the machinery.
So,
yes.
So then it destroys everything.
This is what I'm saying. We've destroyed that beautiful structure we had some time ago. And so what happened was that after the principal secretary called his attention for the third time and said, look, when I'm speaking, nobody speaks. To quote. And then after the meeting, the principal secretary went and, you know, put everything on paper. Said, by your instructions, here we have put on paper the following. Please sign. That's the civil service machinery. You know, sign, put your signature there. And it didn't come back.
I see.
No, it didn't.
That's the
come
distraction
back.
you're
this is
about.
what I'm talking.
You see,
is it the same as the winner takes all thing?
Never mind the winner takes all. You know, we should be very, very careful about this winner takes all. Donald Trump has just won the election in America. He's got the right to appoint 5,000 people into the White House. The absence of checks and balances in our system is fundamental. democracy is a necessary creature. We can't have dictatorship. But democracy without checks and balances, and those checks and balances that are missing in our system is what has made this idea of to the victor the spoils of victory very, very, very dominant.
Dr. Rukuru, what checks and balances are you talking
about? Checks and balances, for example. For example, if you appoint, let's say, heads of public institutions, if you appoint, in the American system, a cabinet minister must be subjected to review by the Senate. If you appoint certain persons, heads of the big agencies, they must also be subjected to. Those are the kind of things we don't have here. So the president appoints, and if he's a minister, Parliament will stamp it, rubber stamp it. If everybody else is a personal, and our constitution is so tyrannical to the extent that through the DCE, the president can appoint the KVIP operator in a district. This is the kind of constitution we are running. So therefore, the race to become president is a do and die affair.
But there are, you can't, to appoint certain officers, certain posts, he has to pass through certain procedure.
Apart from
take the chief of police, does he appoint?
The IGP.
Yeah.
Yes,
IGP.
he does. The president does.
The president
but at least he's supposed to be appointed from the top.
Aha, yes, that's what I mean.
The top hierarchy of
he's supposed to, but it doesn't happen.
Then we, the people, should protest.
I'm saying that the rules by which we govern ourselves have become so embodied in the person of the president that becoming president is the be all and end all.
And so, if that is the situation, then the campaigning or the race is such that you want to be there, knowing that when you get there, you have you can do almost everything.
You can do so that what happens for your personal well-being or for the state.
Please read the article, the first article of our Constitution. That governance is for the people's well-being. That's the first article of our Constitution.
And if you go by that...
And that we give people power so that they can improve our well-being.
Correct.
That's Article 1 of Ghana's Constitution. It's not about party, it's not about individual, it's not about family. It's about giving you power so you can improve the welfare of the people.
Precisely. And if that is the case, then the president would like to improve that. He will try to get the people who can do it.
Yes.
And he has his own views about certain things. And therefore, he appoint the proper people. For example, if I may take a very simple example, take education. Everybody wants big education, talking about it. I have my own silly ideas about education. For example, when it comes to secondary school, secondary education, I don't believe in uniform mediocrity.
No.
I believe in schools of repute as you have it, even in Russia during I'm sure they still have it. You have in Britain, you have your Eatons, you have this and that. You need a few.
So you're not excited about schools being spread across the country?
No, please, listen. I'm a socialist, but I don't believe in uniform mediocrity so far as education is concerned. If I don't believe that there should be a body somewhere in Accra who decides who should be headmaster here, who should be this. I would immediately create certain schools. In Fansima Chimota Girls High School. Give them autonomy so that this board of directors can run the school. And they can be different from the Randolph schools. But the aim would be to educate us properly, as I was. And that's why I'm where I am now. I don't have any extra, anything extra from my colleagues. But I was lucky. That was all. And I would like that to be visited on others. So that, now, if you have a president who wants certain things done, who wants the welfare of the people to improve, he will appoint those, he or she, we don't know whether she will. He or she,
yes, we have a she in there, so
he or she will appoint those who can help him to achieve those purposes.
So not those who necessarily follow the campaign.
No. Yes, those who follow the campaign.
Meritocracy.
Yes, those who follow the campaign. Let's be blunt. Yeah. Those who follow the campaign, who pay money, and so you must give them something. But you should know that they alone cannot create the kind of Ghana you want. So you must use some of the people who are good. Even Kwame Nkrumah discovered it. When I say people don't believe, he told me. He said, the opposition, they have better qualified people than the CPP.
He did.
He did. And in fact, that was one reason why I wanted a one-party state. Because when he tried to appoint people from the other side, his own big party people protested. And people said he was a dictator. If he was a dictator, he could have said, to hell with you. But he therefore rescinded that. And he thought having a one-party state will solve the problem. I didn't agree with that. But the fact is, we should, as Reverend Hesse has said, we should go into the past and find out what happened. You cannot build the Ghana we want if you just appoint your own
people who follow the campaign.
Who follow the campaign.
Those who spend
you have to be careful. Without them, you cannot win. Let's be blunt. So you must give it a few posts. But if you want Ghana to move forward, appoint a few in key positions, you must have people know. For example, finance is one of our biggest problems.
Right.
We do not, not that the Minister of Finance can do wonders, but the point is we don't have enough money for what we want to do. And right now, we borrowed heavily. So this is a problem we should look into when we come to pass. So we should appoint somebody who can deal with that situation, surrounded by people, experts who...
and a formidable civil service.
And a formidable civil
service. There to
provide Reverend Hesse, let me give you a last word on this. We're getting ready to wrap our conversation. So these prescriptions are what will take us to the next level of development.
Oh, definitely. Efficiency. You know, we should promote efficiency. You know, the efficiency is deeply rooted in doing sacrificial work, you know, and proper training. We should appoint qualified people, you know, to head places, you know, and it should be. But I have a personal problem. Every 4 years, we spend heavily. We are poor. You know, we haven't got money. We can't compare ourselves to some of these, well, you know, big nations. We are poor. Would it not be more economical if we vote for a president to lead us for 6 years, one term, 6 years, 6, 7 years, so that it ends there?
That's an argument.
No, would that not be fine instead of every 4 years spending money?
Okay, all right. Dr. Rekrupe, your last words in this.
I think everybody said what we need competence. Okay. We need meritocracy. You need to be realistic in rewarding those who have made it possible for you. But for Ghana to develop, you know, don't forget, next year is our 60th birthday.
Yeah.
And we keep saying we are a developing country. And I feel ashamed because I grew up, I was very young. These were my big uncles at the time. Kwame Nkrumah said, when you show that the black man is capable of managing their own affairs. Now we win elections to go to donors and call them developing partners.
That's our problem.
I want to see Ghana back as managing its own affairs. Let me
distribute this whilst we get ready to do the final one before we wrap up. Okay. All right. So this is for you there. And
what are we supposed to do? Hold them
we
up.
just show them to the public. And for we, us at the Election Command Center, this is what I stand for peace as we get ready to go and vote on December 7th. And I know my guests also do the same. So you will also stand for peace for us.
I stand for peace, but would rather have no violence.
Exactly. Reverend Hesse.
I stand for peace. And let there be peace. Let peace prevail. And we have peace to look after our children and serve Mother Ghana well.
Mr. Kebi Asante.
I stand for peace. Thank you.
And this program, the Election Command Center, is refreshed by Vina, mineral water, healthy drinking, healthy living. I'm grateful, gentlemen, for your time. We've run out of time.